second as I'm still working through some administrative stuff. I'm trying to work on how to get the go to the meeting set up because, you know, I've got the webinar stuff now, but it says that when I want to open up the go to the meeting file so people can listen to it, let's see there. Okay, that's coming up. Let's see. I want to start it, and it's saying that it's coming up. It says the session is already running. Oh my gosh, I don't know. But folks, here I am. Welcome tonight to the Sedona Connection. This is a new format that I'm doing here with what is called, you know, the go to the meeting and the go to the webinar settings. I want to thank everybody for joining me here tonight as we're in this new setup. I don't have the introductory music tonight that I always normally have, but thank you very much. It says that I've got 124 people here. As people are starting to join in. Now, let me just talk a little bit about what happened last week before I get into, as people are still starting to come online. I'm really sorry for the interruption, but folks, it was very obviously to myself and others that last week was an outside influence. Before I do the meetings, what I do, I always do my practice sessions. I make sure everything is set up fine. And I've been using the combination of Facebook as well as, you know, Blog Talk Radio. Well, when I started going into Facebook, it was after a couple of minutes, the whole screen just went blank and snowy. People had said they had never seen anything like that ever before. And then after about 5 minutes being in the Blog Talk Radio, all of a sudden, boom, I was gone, and there was no way I could get back in. People could hear Blanca, but they couldn't hear me. That was not a technical issue on my end. What that does say is that there were some people that didn't want me sharing the program last week. I've had some real problems using those combinations, and you know what, after a while I think I just got tired of it, and so it was time to basically to move into a new format and try something new. So I'm doing this now, what is called, you know, the go to the webinar, go to the meetings format, to be able to use that. And I hope this is working here for everybody. What you could help me out with is, if you're just listening to the program, and you're on to the go to the meeting, not the go to the webinar, and you're getting in if you're doing that, would you just send me a little quick text message so that I can know that it's working fine? I do know that the go to the webinar part, I have the video right here in front of me. Everything there is working just fine. Everything seems to be good there, and yes, folks are coming in. But that would be very helpful, okay? Now, a couple other announcements before I get also into tonight's program. On the workshop this coming Saturday in Atlanta, I still have plenty of room. I would encourage you to show up if you could do that. Remember, folks, I always have the scholarship rates. If a cost is something that is important for you, go to my website, go to the workshop registration page, read down through there, and you can see the instructions that are there. Also, I want to also make the announcement. It's been on the website, and it's also been in the newsletters, but Hawaii, January 27th. That's one I want to announce, because I know if you want to take a vacation in Hawaii at the time, we'll be on the main island, Oahu, in Honolulu, doing a workshop on January 27th. And some of you would probably like to schedule a vacation around that time. So if you want to do that, that's when I will be there, just so that you can plan far enough in advance, because, you know, if you schedule your flights about 6 weeks to 2 months out, the rates are always much, much less. Okay? Now, what about the next one coming up in Sedona on January 13th? Folks, I announced it last week, and I know Jason has also announced it on his program, his webinar, for those of you that had joined him. The January 13th program in Sedona is going to be the special seminar, not the workshop. It was about, what, 5 or 6 weeks ago when we were in Philadelphia, and I had Jason there, and it was just overwhelmingly successful. The people just so appreciated it. I talked about the exchange issue, the currency issues. We had lots of Q&A during the whole time I was there. I gave complete updates. I shared some other information. And then Jason came on and talked about the cryptocurrency issue for about 3 hours. We're going to do that again. It will be Jason and I on the program on January 13th. I'll go about 3 hours, he'll go about 3 hours, but I want you to know that. Now, there's probably, I don't know how many, there's probably been 1,400 of you that I have referred to Jason, and you're beginning to pick up what he's doing. He's been putting out some of his own webinars and recording some of his own sessions, and the response has just been absolutely overwhelming. He had his own webinar last week and had over 1,000 people attend. Okay, so that's the January 13th seminar here in Sedona. I also just want to make a note on the side, folks. Hey, really be praying for the folks in Los Angeles right now. Those fires are getting quite extensive. In fact, I was just on, my website news feed here and said they basically are saying the worst is yet to come. They're not on the downside of it, and those fires are spreading very, very rapidly. In the basically most of it is in the North Los Angeles area. So really be thinking about them. Okay. Now, also, I want to make a side note, and I did put out this little, kind of picture thingy in the newsletter this week where I said, what emails did to the Postal Service, the cryptos are going to do to the banking industry, the banking service. Everybody needs to make their own decision what it is that they want to do. But folks, if you're not paying attention to what's going on right now, in fact, let me go over to my Coinbase window. Bitcoin, just in the last 24 hours, is up $2,500 in 24 hours. You heard me right. 20.6% in 24 hours. Folks, just myself, in my cryptocurrency account, I don't do active trading. I just take what I call my discretionary funds. Instead of letting them sit in a bank account, I move them over into my Coinbase account, and they have the three currencies there. They have the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, and the Litecoin, and you can choose between the three. If you don't want them in the coins, you can move it over into what is called a US dollar wallet. But by just letting my funds, what I call my discretionary, the funds that I'm not actively working, just letting them sit in that account, I've had over a 40% return in less than 2 weeks. That's in just 12 days, folks. In 12 days, I've had a 40% return on my money. This stuff isn't going to slow down. I know there are some negative critics that are out there. There's some people saying the government's going to try to control them. I'm not going to go into all those details tonight. But all I can say is, if you're willing to basically look at it about once a day, yes, it will go up and down. That's normal. But if you look at what is called the channel, it's been on an upward channel for the whole last year. In fact, as I'm in my Coinbase window here right now, let us just say Bitcoin has been up 20.43% in just 1 day. In the last week, it's been up 44%. In the last month, it has doubled. It has been up almost $7,200 in 1 month, a 101% increase. 1 month, folks. When your money sits in your bank account, you're getting less than 1% per year. Here, I'm getting 20% per week. Is this going to go on forever? No, it won't. No, it won't. But folks, there's a lot of people saying this is going to continue to change and continue to grow for a number of months yet. What's happening now is that it's starting to open up to Wall Street. And if you're a fund manager, a hedge fund manager in Wall Street, why would you have your money in stocks that will get 10 to 15% per year when you can move some of that money over to the cryptocurrencies and you can get 20% per month? That's a great service for your people of what you're doing. And also, you get a percentage of that return yourself. That's why I think we're going to continue to see the growth in the cryptocurrencies for an extended period of time, because we're going to start seeing the shift of the funds take place. Okay? Now, let me move on. I want to go on into explaining about some of the things that I had said last week. I did say that last week, hold on, let me just take a look at this right here. I just got a text come in. Okay, it says that the audio is waiting for the speaker to come in. Oh, let me see here. Okay. Okay. This session is being recorded. I want to try to go back to my GoToMeeting. And let's do the start again there. I think what I need to do is, it says the session is already running. What happens if I go ahead and if I close this window down? Okay, hold on here, just to stay with me just a minute, folks, would you? For just No, I don't want to do that. I want to cancel that one. Okay. Now, as I cancel that one, let me come back into my go to meeting window. Bring that window up. Okay, hold on. Where did it go, folks? Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did the go to the meeting window go? Okay. All right. I'm still here. Okay, I'm trying to. Man, oh man, let's see here. Okay, hold on just a quick second. I've had a couple other texts come in. I don't know why it's not letting me go into the go to the meeting. Okay. Okay, so you can hear me. One person says you can hear me fine on the new link. It says on go to the meeting that they're waiting for the organizer to arrive. And I've been trying to open that up and it's not allowing me to do that. Let me. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see here. Let's try this one. Manage the webinar. Okay, thank you for being patient with me on this. Go to meeting. Okay, we're going there. Click on the go to the meeting window. Start the meeting. It says a session is already running when I try to go to that, and I don't know why. Folks, I don't know what's going on here on this, why this thing won't work. I don't know. Okay, I got some more text coming here. Okay. Okay, some people are saying that, let me know, when you're texting me, are you on the go to the webinar or the go to the meeting? I'm trying to see, okay, go to meeting, I know. Oh, somebody says you can hear me fine and actually see me under the go to the meeting. So I guess we're good. Folks, if it's not, you may want to try to reboot then. If you're having some problems on that. Thank you for all you that are texting in and let me know. It's our, yeah, okay. Other folks are saying that they can hear me. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all that's coming through. And, okay, all right. So, last week I said I was going to make a trip over the weekend. Folks, I did travel to another city, and I did have some meetings with some folks. But here's what I want to tell you is the fact that things got delayed again. Okay, now I want to share something that is my opinion. I talk with a lot of people about this. A lot of us are in agreement about this. But it's basically what we see happening with what's going to be coming on the timing of the funds being released for round one. Today is December 6th. And what traditionally happens in the banking industry, and I remember hearing this years ago on a lot of the different financial programs like CNBC, Fox Business News, etc., is what happens is in mid-December, the banking industry, what is called the management parts of the banking industry, pretty much shuts down for a whole month, from about mid-December to mid-January. Yes, the retail branches stay open to service people like you and me at the branch level, but at the management level, where they do business operations, where they're basically making decisions with large sums of businesses and money, it's very traditional for that whole industry to totally shut down for a full month over the holidays from mid-December until about mid-January. What that means is if we don't see anything in the next week, it's very likely nothing will get started again until mid-January. It will take them a couple of weeks to get going. So there's a very high probability in the release of these funds that we're not going to see anything until around the 1st of February or maybe even into March. I know that's disappointing for some of you. And I had said earlier that people would ask me, do you think this is really going to happen? I want to reiterate what I said last week. This money is real. The funds are very real. But it's a very technical issue with lots of different levels involved to be able to get it to where it can legally be released to us through the banking system, folks. In one of my conversations with a gentleman this week that's aware of what's going on, he said basically we need to remember, and I've said this multiple times, the U.S. Treasury and the U.S. government is in control of the release of the funds here in the United States. They will not allow any large sums of funds to be released without their authority. I did say that there are 3 different primary sources of these fundings. First one is the dragon families and the elders and the grandfathers. And to my understanding, the highest of those, they haven't released anything yet. The second primary sources are those that are involved in 128 inter-country contract and agreement. Not all the countries in the world have signed on to that. But in that, for them, that is the area that it's about what's happening at the level of the countries. We need to understand that the money coming to us is not about us, the moms and pops. It's about the money being released at the international level, how it affects the politics of each country, how it affects the finances of each country, how it affects the finances globally around the world. And there are a lot of these countries that have a lot of details that they have to work through before this stuff can be released. Because it's back to the fact that if too much is released too fast, it creates a hyperinflation problem. It takes weeks and months for them to work through all of those details to get all of those countries on the same page in agreement with each other. Now, the report that I was told, and this is how I'm explaining how it was told to me, they are in the process of doing that. And it takes an extended period of time. Once that is done, then they have to jump through all the legal hoops to move the money from those funding sources into the banks. And that takes a lot of legal process and work as well. And that's what's been most of the delay here that's been going on. They are there. They are close to being able to move that money. But as I said, if we don't see it in the next week, it's very, very probable we aren't going to see anything until February or March. I want to reiterate, though, the money's very real. But now let me go talk again about the third funding sources. Because I asked about that, and it says, what is it that most of the stuff that's happening in Reno, what does that have to do with the part that's a part of these inter-country agreements? And the person that told me says, what happens in Reno and other places, those are all private contracts. They have the ability to do private contracts as long as it's legal and they're following the legal systems. There are other sources that do have large sums of money, and I have explained that before. Most of these are what are called some of the lower levels of, yes, the elders, or some of these other trusts that have been on the off-market trading platforms, and they've been developing this money for years. They do have a lot of money that they can release, and they are. But what was told to me is do not expect them to be releasing money before basically those that are processing through the government, because the Treasury will control their release as well. There is one exception to that I am aware of. It is possible to be in groups that are much, much smaller. They're very small groups. They have a smaller sum of money. They could start releasing their funds because, see, their funds being released is not going to have an impact on the global economy. So, yes, you can hear something about smaller sources. Now, what I was talking about last week and some of the people that I was meeting with, that is one contract that I have. Now remember, I have 6 different contracts. 5 of those contracts are with basically the large sources of the sums. One contract I have is with a very small source. There is a possibility that that one might pay out before everything else. So it's important to understand that whatever it is that you're hearing, it all comes back to who's funding it, where's the money coming from, who's paying for all of this stuff, and where are they going to come up with the money to do that. What is the source of their funds, and how much money do they have, and how many people are involved in this process. Here's what I'm learning. Between those that are involved with the government contracts and those that are involved with the large sources in Reno and some of the others, folks, we're talking 40 to 50,000 people are involved in these private contracts on the larger side. So you can imagine the amount of money that is there to be released. I don't know all those details. Even the people that I talk with don't know all those details. And I think the only people that know that are the people that are at the very top at U.S. Treasury, and they're not releasing anything to anybody. So yes, there's a lot of speculation in this, and what I report to you is what comes to me from my sources, and when it's my opinion, I tell you that it's my opinion. When I had just mentioned about not seeing anything until February and March, that's my opinion, but it's based upon opinion of a lot of other people that are involved in the banking industry, the years I had been around on the financial side, and also my years, the years I had myself of working inside of a bank. They pretty much shut everything down at the management level for a full month. And then it takes them, and when they come back, it takes them a couple of weeks to get back up to speed with everything that's going on. Before then, they start working with the larger clients. And that's why I'm saying, folks, we're probably not going to see anything until about February or March. I would love to see it sooner. I would love to be wrong on that. But that's my opinion. That's where I'm at, and I know I've got a lot of others that are with me on that as well. Okay? Now, that's what I wanted to talk about tonight as the potential schedule. Now, I also want to talk about what is happening basically in the global economic scene. We are seeing more and more people, professional economic advisors, that are appearing on the different financial news programs, CNBC, Fox Business News, Bloomberg Business News, etc. And they're starting to say that we are basically a short shot away from starting to fall into basically a huge global economic downturn. I've shared with you that we are in a situation where all 7 of the G7 countries are in debt beyond their ability to recover. They basically have been living off what is called the fiat currency system. They are so far in debt they do not have the ability to pay off their debt. There is no amount of taxation or no amount of economic recovery is being able to relieve them from that. When you have that scenario, there's only one of 2 probable outcomes. Number one, they in essence go bankrupt, which means they don't have money and they don't have any money to spend, and government services basically has to shut down because there's no money to pay for it. Or number 2, they continue in the fiat currency system, the fiat money system, and that is sooner or later is going to create hyperinflation. That was very similar to what Germany went through prior to World War II. And there's a lot of economic advisors saying we're on the verge of that. There are some of the top economists saying that they're going to expect basically the stock market to start going through a collapse. When we had the big economic downturn in 2008, the Dow Industrial Average fell 56% in 6 months. That was a 50% drop, a 50% cut that a lot of people saw in their 401k retirement systems because their 401ks were in the markets. They saw 30, 40, and 50% losses in that. Yes, it has recovered since then, and quite often it does, but I think this one is going to be different. I would not be surprised if we start seeing that economic downturn right after the first of the year. There's a high probability of that. There's another situation that might feed into that, and I want to come back to what I said earlier, just a little bit ago, about the cryptocurrency movement. You might start seeing hedge fund managers, because what happened this week is they have now opened it up that there are futures on the cryptocurrencies that are starting to become available. You're going to start seeing basically hedge funds that are going to start investing in the cryptocurrencies, and they're going to move money out of stocks and into the cryptos because the rate of return is so much better. And they will also see, if the market starts a downturn, they will see that the cryptos is a much better protected place for their money, because it's going to continue on an upward trend for at least 6, 8, 10 months, if not another year or even 2 years. The cryptocurrency market is nowhere near a bubble. Nowhere near a bubble. To understand when it's in a bubble, you have to compare what is the total money in the crypto market in contrast to what is in what you call the NASDAQ market, the stock market. And they aren't even anywhere near as close. So there is a probability, there is a potential as of this time that we could start seeing a serious economic downturn in contrast to these funds being released, and that these funds might come out after the downturn starts. Now that is a probability. I don't know the exact outcome on that. I don't know what it's going to turn into, and a lot of other people don't either. But there is a probability that that could happen. Okay? All right. I'm looking at my webinar window here. It says that I have 218 people here. It's basically it's something that's new for me. Okay. I'm going to go to one other possibility here. Okay. Let's see. I want to see, sometimes there are some questions that people are able to bring in, and I want to see how I can get those to show up. Okay. Folks, there's not a lot I wanted to share tonight. I don't want to go into extensive details. There's not a lot of stuff that's going on other than the fact that I just wanted to mention that. I'm working on, again, the new system here. I'm going to spend some time in the next week practicing this a lot with how we can open this up, how I can bring you in, that you can be able to ask your questions online and stuff like that, how we can begin to work through this process. Blanca was not able to be with me here tonight. She basically was, you know, her and her husband had some other meetings that they had to go to. Let's see, and I need to learn how even to bring her in when that is a possibility. So you know what, folks? Let me see here. Where are we at? Boom. Okay, we have that. We have that. I've been on the program here for about a half hour. I've said what I wanted to say, the things that I wanted to share with you about some of the things that I see that are developing. I will be back for a program again next week. That will be the 13th of December. After that, I will be taking a couple of weeks off for the holiday season. I usually don't do a program right before Christmas or right before New Year's, but I will be back next week. Hopefully I will have some new updates for you then. And I don't really need to go into a lot of extensive detail tonight with other stuff because I've shared with you what I can. What I've shared with you is the fact that there's a very high probability we may not see anything until February or March. The banking system shuts down basically, as I said, from mid-December to mid-January. It takes them a couple of weeks to get started back up. I need to learn how to use this new system better. And so, folks, I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and just probably go ahead and let us go here tonight. We're going to go ahead and call the program quits. I wish everybody that you have an absolutely wonderful week. I'm looking forward to seeing you folks in Atlanta this coming weekend. Love all of you. Have an absolutely wonderful week. Okay, see you later. All right, bye-bye.